年后之后我们第3场比赛跟 BLG 打，BLG 的话，只要他们比赛的时候状态好的话，他们其实是很强的一支队伍嘛。
RW 是一个很强的新队伍吧，就目前新队伍来说，他们是成绩最好的，磨合也是最好的。
闪现过来 ，QW 打出一波爆量伤害以后，棒宝在后面补上一个秘书者，你拿下人头，这个桶子叠过去，炸到解除到 Smlz 杀掉了论。
AJ 的话，就是他最近拿了很多次 MVP 嘛，这个上位置上面非常强的人嘛，就是我也会努力去战胜他。
弗拉里斯就是我们的前队友嘛，我们比较熟悉他的打法，去针对他找到突破口。
BLG 下路打得挺防守的，我们打的一般都很进攻，感觉和他们交手的话，两边都会擦出不一样的火花。
跟马哥也打过很多次吧，就打到后期团战应该还行吧。
最近马哥的状态都很好，不管是训练赛还是排位，我一直相信我们马哥。
希望新的一年的话，我们能调整好自己的状态，能赢得更多的比赛。
我们2个队伍都是新的俱乐部嘛 ，BLG 和我们2W， 所以我们2个队伍一起加油吧。
As we head into week 5 of the LPL, cross-conference play continues. We've already had one top-of-the-table clash. Long-time rivals between Team WE and RNG also faced off yesterday, and we have many heat checks that have been conducted so far in the LPL. Tonight, live from the Shanghai Super Brand Mall Arena, we're going to have, first off, Rogue Warriors taking on Bilibili Gaming, where Rogue Warriors look to see if they can extract revenge for their former teammates once again, as we'll see Flawless face off against his old team. Hello everyone, I'm Matthew Stewart. Joining me is Zach Rusty Pie. How are you doing today, Rusty?
Fantastic. I've got shoes on, so I am very safe. I'm ready to watch some League of Legends today.
Yeah, thankfully we have shoes on this desk. But first, before we get into today's matches, let's kind of take a check at how cross-conference has been going so far, because currently the East are leading against the West quite significantly.
Yeah, and honestly, we came into the whole split. We said the West is the best as far as the conferences are concerned, and how that has turned on its head since conference has started is honestly surprising. It's 8-4. They've doubled the wins so far, and that's including the games that we saw yesterday, and there has been some crazy performances through those cross conferences. However, whilst the West is only on 4 wins, one of the teams playing today is still one of the standouts. Bilibili is 2-0 so far.
We can take a look and see how those wins have affected the standings so far in the LPL. I already mentioned IG were able to take down Snake in that top of the table clash. Team WE and RNG faced off, where RNG picked up that win, and a couple of other shake-ups in the standings as well.
Yeah, exactly. BLG and RNG, they're playing today. You see them in second, but Snake played IG yesterday. It was a clean 2-0 for Invictus Gaming. They look dominant, and they have actually cemented themselves, albeit tentatively, as the best team in the LPL for the spring split thus far. And as you mentioned, RNG and WE faced off against one another, but RNG, they haven't made playoffs yet, even with that 2-1 victory they secured over Team WE.
And I have not, but we can take a look at today's matches. First up, it's going to be Rogue Warriors taking on Bilibili Gaming, followed by EDG against Suning, where EDG looking to try and leapfrog themselves to the top of their conference with a win today.
That's right, Flawless plays his old team first, but EDG up against the wildcards of Suning Gaming second, and they are a fast-paced team. They're an aggressive team. They've got some wildcards in the roster, individual strengths in the players. EDG, hungry, need to get up to that first place, but not an easy feat to go against Suning Gaming and come out cleanly.
No, it definitely is not. We'll have to keep track and see if EDG can do just that and make it a clean match against them. For now, though, I kind of want to talk about how the meta has shifted, because coming into the LPL and what the meta is right now is being completely different, especially since we come back from Chinese New Year and with patch 8.2 being played in cross-conference now.
Yeah, yesterday's the best example of it. In the last set that we saw, there was a Scion, there was a Skarner, there was a couple of new champions running around on Summoner's Rift. But the place that I always have to bring it back to, Fish, when we discuss the meta is the AD carry position, because the LPL is known to have one AD carry that is above and beyond the best, and that is the Cogmore, but currently running around with a 31% win rate, 8 wins, 18 losses is abysmal for the champion. And then Varus is actually the up-and-comer in recent weeks that we've been seeing more and more of in the AD carry role, seems to be #1 now, has a 63% win rate respectively, doing very well in the league, and that's something that we've started to see shift as the weeks progressed. And coming into this new week, 8.2, of course, the first day of week 5 right now, Varus may well just be the #1 AD.
I mean, besides Scion up in the top lane, we haven't seen too many changes up there, nor in the jungle or in the support position, but mid lane has been constantly changing as well. And with these constant changes in the meta, we've also had a couple of new standouts from week to week in the LPL. So we take a look at who were the standouts for week 4 in the LPL. In the top lane, it was Marin. The jungle, it was Casa. Rookie in the mid lane. Smlz in the battle. In the bottom lane, these are the best of the Rift for week number 4.
And of course, starting with Marin on the left of your screen, he played one best of 3 so far in the LPL, but of course, best of the Rift is a weekly basis stats graph here, and Marin looks incredible. First in most of the stats there, first, second, or third overall. He played a very good series for TOP to get them their first victory. Casa in the jungle as well stepped up yesterday after a shaky game 2 when he tried to bring out the Skarner, redeemed himself in that third game and did actually look fantastic, Fish.
As well as Rookie in the mid lane from Victus Gaming was able to help IG take down Snake and stay at that top of the table matchup. Smlz, who is seen played later today for Rogue Warriors, we'll touch on him a little bit later about his last match, but he picked up the Kog'Maw, which you've been talking about as a big meta pick at the moment. Has not been doing too well for the rest of the LPL, but Smlz, he is undefeated on the champ.
Yeah, which is interesting. You know, Kog'Maw worked for Uzi yesterday. It works for Smlz in certain contexts and certain situations, but it hasn't been the above all, be all AD carry you're seeing. And of course, a second IG member rounding out the best of the Rift in the support role, Baolan, who kind of flew under the radar. I wasn't sure who would get the support best of the Rift here, and I'm not surprised that it goes to Baolan, but I'm not exactly looking at his sets and saying, wow, he was just the best player, the best support that I've seen this week. It seems that either a lot of the supports are equal footing in terms of how good they are, or no one was really above them beyond the rest, so they just took the stats and said Baolan will do, because IG played very well.
Well, Baolan has been picking up a couple of MVP performances for Invictus Gaming so far and has been helping out Jackie Love make those highlight flashy plays that he is known for. But let's get into the first match for today. It's going to be Rogue Warriors taking on Bilibili Gaming. And as we always talk about with Rogue Warriors, they have so many members that have been from other teams in the LPL, and today is no exception. We're going to see Flawless go up against his former team of Bilibili Gaming.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you know, 4 different members of the Rogue Warriors roster have been in another team in the LPL before. Killua is the only exception to that rule. Flawless now going up against his old team. There is a lot on the line here for Flawless, and we saw it in the video at the start of the day as well. They might just attack him, Bilibili, as the weakness, or a place that, you know, they know very well. So why would you not exploit someone when you know his weaknesses, whether he's showing them or not?
However, for Flawless, he's been playing incredibly well so far in the LPL. So it's going to be very curious to see how they can exploit his weakness, if any. But one thing they can try and do is straight away from Pix and Ban, which is don't allow Flawless to get his hands on Lee Sin, because he is undefeated on the champion at the moment.
Yeah, Flawless is 5-0 in the LPL so far as Lee Sin. The rest of the league is 10-12, so they're actually 45% as win rate is concerned. And Flawless, he's already been known as a Lee Sin one trick when he was in Korea. He comes over to China and surprise, surprise, he plays Lee Sin very well. And that's the interesting thing about Flawless. You know, he gets the pick again. It's a new season, it's a new day, and he's still just that good on it. And no one is banning it. It's been multiple sets, and he's still getting it for free. And guess what? Every single time he gets it, their opponents are losing. At what point does someone just actually ban it away?
Well, a couple of teams have been able to ban it out against Flawless, but even when they've banned away the champion, he still looks fine on more of the heavy meta picks like the Jarvan, like the Sejuani. It still shows that he's a very competent jungler that helps Rogue Warriors out.
Of course, that's where you give the special mention to Flawless. Not only are his Lee Sin's stats outstanding, him as a player has actually grown quite a bit. The fact that he can play multiple champions, he has a decent Sejuani in there as well, and that's a tank, God forbid, very different to the Lee Sin style of champion. From what we have seen from Flawless this split, he has matured, he has grown that little bit more, and he does seem like a smarter player overall. But then he gets the Lee Sin and he doesn't need to be smart. He can just be Lee Sin and destroy everybody. So I would like to see the Lee Sin banned because he's so good on it. But we do know that he has other options there in his repertoire that he wouldn't have had in the past.
We'll have to see Bilibili Gaming take it away from him moving into this match. But Lee Sin's not just a pocket pick for Flawless. We do see Lee Sin played throughout the LPL, one of the few competitive regions that constantly picks it up no matter what patch, no matter what season, no matter how viable it is.
Except 8.4.
Except 8.4. Might be removing a couple of wards here and there that might stop him from jumping around the rift, but still, his win rate for the rest of the junglers in the LPL is significantly lower, 45%, but still played very heavily in the LPL.
Yeah, and a lot of it, like you look at it, why is Lee Sin even a contentious pick in the LPL? And I do feel like like that early pressure, that early duelist part that Lee Sin has in his kit just kind of puts him up to the upper echelon of junglers. Kha'Zix is seen quite a lot in the LPL as well, and Jarvan's just the #1 jungler running around since the beginning of the split and continues to do so. But Lee Sin's pretty good into all of those champions that are good duelists as well. If you're good at Lee Sin, you can outplay anybody, and the best Lee Sins in the world can always find a way to make that work. And I do think that's why we've seen a lot of Lee Sin here, albeit it hasn't been super successful. But if we add Flawless into the stats for the league overall, Lee Sin does end up positive.
And these are all junglers that are very aggressive, deal a lot of damage, can provide some crowd control here and there, but not too much. Whereas we see other teams moving towards more of the tank-focused junglers. Sejuani comes to mind as a big, heavy pick for a tank there, with Zach following closely behind. And recently Skarner as well, which we saw picked up yesterday for Casa. Yeah,
we've definitely seen a lot more Skarner lately, and as you mentioned, the Sejuani and the Zach do seem to be the #1 and 2 junglers respectively when you're looking towards the tanks. And a lot of that to me is that Sejuani has really good ranged engage, Zach has really good ranged engage, and they're safe when they're engaging as well. So not only are they tanks, like you have to look at why are we not seeing Gragas all of the time, and it feels like the biggest difference between all of these, because Gragas does have ranged engage, is the multiple forms of guaranteed crowd control that he's able to place down, as well as a perceived tankiness that comes from more than just the kit. Right now, Gragas, if he misses the ultimate, long cooldown, easily dodged thanks to stopwatch, his job's pretty much done in team fights. Flash body slam is all he has, and the flash timer is relatively long, whereas the Sejuani can throw out multiple spell rotations, so even if there is a stopwatch to dodge it, he still has something relevant. Same thing with Zach.
And tank junglers is something we could definitely see Bilibili Gaming pick up in this first set against Rogue Warriors. But as we mentioned, Flawless also has defaulted back towards tank junglers like Sejuani before, and a main reason for doing so is because of his bottom lane AD carry of Smlz. The last time we saw Rogue Warriors play, Smlz picked up the Kog'Maw, which is 100% picked or banned against him because nobody wants him to get his hands on the champion. He showed why the last time we watched him, because he was able to dominate the game by himself.
Yeah, Smlz is one of those unique AD carries that can actually pick up the Kog'Maw. He has shown this really strong ability to late game team fight. You think back to when he was on OMG, he's actually the pentakill hunter when it comes to playing Kog'Maw, playing late game team fights. He always finds it, always flashes forwards perfectly. And as a legacy Kog'Maw player, you can always play the champion. You can always bring it back, reworks or not. He's a very similar play style. And this is something that, yes, 100% pick and ban away or for him every single time, but he also diversified the way that he plays the Kog'Maw and adapts it on the fly, and that's something that's super special about Rogue Warriors, that he plays crit Kog'Maw when everybody else is going for the cost-efficient and item-efficient build of the on-hit with the Guinzu's Rageblade, the Witsend, and all of these items as well. He chooses to diversify. He chooses to actually have bigger late-game spikes and not just go for the one-item spike in the bottom lane.
And it was very crucial that he diversified his build heading into that last match we saw him play, because they were behind a significant amount of gold against their opponents, and there was almost like there was no way they were going to be able to come back into that match. But Smlz was able to catch a couple of people out, get a few crits in here and there, turn the game around, and has really propelled Rogue Warriors to be one of the top in their conferences, currently sitting 5-2, and it was unexpected for them to be placed so high to start off in the LPL.
And that's why they're so good at playing champions like the Kog'Maw. They're able to take those risks as a team, Rogue Warriors. You know, Doinb playing different champions in the mid lane to compensate, to trust in Smlz, as he always says as well. He knows that he'll be able to carry the game in the end. Smlz also acknowledging that they've got a Karma, or they've got a support that perhaps can go in the middle lane as well himself, and they're actually able to utilize that to build crit Kog'Maw, which may not do as much damage at the one item spike if the crits don't connect, but if the crits connect, then it's amazing, and they trust him to at least go forwards and get the auto attacks off to test the waters.
And this is when Doinb was playing against his former team of Jinjiao the last time. Rogue was able to pick up a win before he went into the Chinese New Year break. This time around, it's Flawless against his old team. We already know that Bilibili Gaming has said they're going to try and exploit him in the jungle, but I really don't know how they're going to be able to do this. Besides taking away the Lee Sin away, how exactly can Bilibili Gaming, try and take it to Flawless?
You ever looked at the rosters and you're like, okay, Flawless is playing against SKS. Man, that's just... SKS is going to bop him. He's going to... It's definitely not to do with the junglers by any means. You're looking at the whole map, and I really don't see how this is conceivable besides banning the Lee Sin first and just hoping that you can match a tank matchup perhaps. Have a Zach into a Sejuani. Have something like that. Get rid of the Jarvan and the Lee Sin. Because Doinb is always going to be the first to respond in any kind of 2v2. Athena is a bit sleepy when it comes to mid lane. Sometimes he'll hard carry, sometimes he just doesn't exist in the whole game. And SKS is a tracking jungler. He's not so much a proactive, aggressive, in-your-face type of jungler. When you think of SKS, you just think of Rek'Sai. That's actually how he plays, like he has Tremor Sense constantly. Flawless and Doinb should win the 2v2. So I'm not sure what it is that BLG are going to just outright do it as a 5v5 strategy, or even a skirmish strategy, besides the 5v5, which is something that they excel at.
Well, one thing they can try and look towards is heading into the top lane, where AmazingJ is going to go up against Smlz. Backstage, we saw the two of them talking. You know, they're good friends, and it showed in the video as well, both wishing each other luck. Even Doinb saying, you know, the relatively new teams, new organizations, they hope they continue to grow and play well. Moving into this match, it could be an avenue for Bilibili Gaming to try and attack Rogue Warriors, but AmazingJ and Smlz, they can both play the carry champions now. They're both known to play tank champions in the past as well. They've really diversified their champion pool and becoming very solid top laners themselves.
Yeah, certainly, and a lot of it's maturity. Once again, they've been around for a long time now. Former EDG, but that's of times past, and they do know each other quite well. You saw them, well, we saw them, sorry, you didn't see them talking backstage to one another, and so they are still clearly friends, and that speaks to how long they have been around, even though they're now in different teams respectively, and they are still able to keep up with the best. They are still hungry to have that first place performances, and going against one another. You mentioned AmazingJ is important for perhaps the lane control, but he's not so much a laning top laner, and once again that seems to speak towards a lot of the strategies that BLG have,
which we've seen throughout the years, all the way back from their IMA. Now the fact that the Bilibili Gaming IMA are a team, Bilibili Gaming are a team that like to play in those team fights. They like to scale up. They're not really well known for being as dominant in the early game. I mean, throwback to when they qualified for Worlds, they waited all the way till 50 minutes before they made that play to decide them to move into that championship.
The Miracle Hunters, as you will, of course. BLG there. No slouch in the late game. They're no slouch when it comes to a 5v5 team fight. It's the rest of the game where they always seem to lose, and they are up against a super team, so to speak, or so they were touted as. Of course, I don't know if I ever agreed with that. Anyway, they are strong individual players. Their strong individual players may still be able to win those lanes, and suddenly BLG's job, as usual, becomes significantly harder.
Well, apparently it's the super team against the anime squad here today, Rusty. We'll have to see which one comes out ahead. Bilibili Gaming have been working together for a long time, have been trying to adapt their playstyle towards different teams to play against. We'll have to see if Rogue Warriors can take it to them. But here's Bilibili Gaming's lineup. AmazingJ in the top lane, SKS heading into the jungle with Athena in the mid lane, and Jinjiao as Road as their AD carry and supports.
We only very briefly touched on Athena. He has been playing incredible at times, otherwise he has been underperforming as we go through the Rogue Warriors roster. Mouse, Flawless, Doinb, Smlz, and the Killer Whale in the bottom lane.
The Killer Whale he is.
The Killer Whale. I have decided that is his name. I have dubbed him as that. You can choose to accept it if you want, Fish. You can ignore me if you want, but I'm going to keep saying it.
Well, we already heard from Doinb earlier today. He said that he has faith in his bottom lane AD carry over Smlz. He needs his support to back him up, and constantly is able to provide Smlz not only with the advantages during his laning phase, but protect him in the team fights that he's so well known for.
And that's an interesting part here as the team matchup goes. Will Rogue Warriors win the early game? Will they say, let's just take the 5v5 team fights and scale up to late game, knowing full well that Bilibili will do that same thing? And now we have the strategy is going to be here. Does someone change? Do they both go expected? And how does that actually result in an outcome?
Well, we'll have to see if Flawless can get his revenge against his old team, who are now apparently the anime squad. Let's send it over to our casters to take us to game number 1.
Week 5 is upon us, and what better way to kick it off than Rogue Warriors versus BLG. My name is Tahm, this is Raz. We're going to be your commentators for this evening. We hope you enjoy your stay. But Raz, it's week 5. We are nearly halfway through the split already, 40% of the way through. Can you believe all the excitement?
Yeah,
oh,
I think I can.
Oh, that's good. All right.
And it's mostly because once the season starts to come through, you start to see a larger, or at least a more clearer picture of the standings. You get a good idea who the big bosses are. Because initially we expected WE, EDG, not so much Snake, not so much BLG. But now it seems like BLG are starting to prove the non-believers that they are actually a top team in the Western Conference. And you have to be able to chip them down. So, of course, taking 2 victories so far in the Cross Conference is already doing a lot for their, I guess, the MO.
Yeah, their momentum coming into this matchup. But as you said, these teams are second place versus second place. This will be an important decider for that. But we've already entered into picks and bans for this game 1 between Bilibili Gaming and Rogue Warriors. Kog'Maw banned away from Smlz. Rusty mentioned it on the desk. That huge priority for the AD carry. And, of course, more important than that, even Flawless's Lee Sin finally taken away.
His Lee Sin and Jarvan, because the biggest takeaway of the last 2 series that Rogue Warriors had going up against WE and Jingdong is that Lee Sin has been banned consistently against him in the last 2 sets. But they still end up picking up victories because he ends up going back towards the Jarvan and finding out that early game aggression anyways. So trying to find a way to focus him out, that's what BLG is trying to do immediately.
I can see Mouse almost mirroring my own expression here. A first pick Xayah blue side. A bit of wrench thrown in the works from BLG. Tahm Kench immediately locked up for Killua as a potential answer.
Yeah, that's going to force Rogue Warriors to think about the Rakan a little bit, because think about the composition. The Galio is still up and available, and if they give away Rakan Galio, that seems like a really tough composition to go up against later on in the game in terms of team fighting, and of course in the laning phase, because of course how much priority, how much damage they can output as the Rakan-Xayah duo.
Well, look at the answer, though. With that Tahm Kench now locked in for Killua, that provides a bit more safety for the likes of Smlz to take something that can scale a little bit more, that can take a little bit more risks, such as that Varus that we mentioned a bit earlier.
Yeah, you already talked about the scaling aspect, and of course the Skarner is going to do a lot kind of for it. I already love the fact that they're going towards that level 6 kind of jungler, as well as the Tahm Kench. So if you're a BLG, you're already having to force yourself to think, well, do we want to scale along with it, or do we want to have early game detractors?
Well, looks like they've got some scaling right away. Vladimir going to be locked in for AmazingJ. We've seen Athena play it before, but it has been a very long time. And there's that Rakan that you were just talking about. So both of the teams appear to have a clear read on each other. Let's see if he's actually going to lock it in here for Jinjiao and Road.
You have to expect it.
Yeah.
And it's a strong pickup for Killua as well, so it's a good takeaway from them. So I like the first 3 picks coming out of BLG, because Vladimir, you already mentioned it, it is a flex pick. You don't know where it's going to go. AmazingJ has had some success off of it, but of course if we're casting our minds back to last split, last year,
but Vladimir is really where Athena started to pick up momentum, which led to his power today.
Exactly. And so if you think about the compositions that BLG have been recently running, their top lanes have usually been these massive team fighters like the Cho'Gath. So you got to wonder what BLG is looking for, because the late game team fights are going to be something to fear.
They certainly are. Looks like BLG, they see there's no AD carry left open for Smlz, or sorry, no AD carry picked up, so they're going to be looking to ban that next. Of course, Mouse knows that he's got counter pick, seeing that Vladimir picked it, well, assumes that he has it. What with the current meta and all, is Cho'Gath is going to be banned away as a potential answer. Doinb taking Karma for himself. Once again, returning to a champion that he has had huge success on, this supportive style mid laner, and it really looks quite scary next to the likes of that Skarner.
Yeah, so there's the movement speed off of that. Of course, the fact that he would go towards Ardent Sensor, which means that AD carry, there are more options of what Smlz can pick up. Last split, we've seen a lot of Twitch, not so much this split. I wonder if that's what he's going to go towards, just because it seems like Rogue Warriors already have a very strong mid lane that they can pick up for themselves. Karma's usually had some very strong laning phases, and they have the opportunity to go towards, of course, a counter pick for Mouse. So if that's the case, they don't necessarily have to think about having priority in the bottom side of the map. So a late game scale and carry like the Twitch may be vain, but that's not an Smlz special, that they can go towards this product. It's nice. It's nice to see that he can have that option in the second phase.
Yeah, this is absolutely fascinating to see how BLG are running through this draft phase. They're almost completely ignoring the bottom lane outside of that Kog'Maw ban and the priority towards Xayah Rakan.
Oh.
So Smlz locking in Jinx for the first time here in the LPL.
And of course, she got a few changes. We're going to be talking about that once we get into the game itself, of course. Getting attack speed onto her Q, which means that if you rank it up, of course, you get a little bit stronger in laning phase on rank up. That's nice to see. That being said, already thinking about what BLG going to immediately turn towards what they've banned, which is a Cho'Gath and Sion, all tough laning phases for a Vladimir. So you have to assume that it's possibly going to be a Vladimir top lane now that they've eliminated bad matchups.
Ooh, and Cassiopeia is now locked in, confirming that suspicion, unless you can somehow take Vladimir into the jungle, as Athena takes a champion that has to step forward, face his opponent, and be aggressive. Looking across from Doinb, who has been one of the better mid laners in the entirety of the LPL.
Yeah, and I think that this has been a strong mid laner for Athena going towards the Cassiopeia. The only worry that you would have to have in Cassiopeia, since you do push and skirmish quite often in the lane, is looking towards your jungler for that added aggression. I think both SKS and Athena have had very strong synergy so far this split. That's been a worry for Athena in the previous splits when they've been putting in jungler after jungler after jungler. Flawless was one person who was in that rotation. Now it seems like SKS and Athena have enough confidence to be able to run the Cassiopeia a little bit more.
Especially with the likes of that Jax, it's much easier to follow up. But in answer, that is Mouse taking Gangplank in the top lane. Last pick, red side. It falls all the way down, but still a huge presence rate here in the LPL. And Mouse is no slouch in the top lane, as these two previous former teammates from EDG way back in the glory days now get to look down the barrel of each other. I feel like there's a lot of history when you look at just about every single lane. I mean, AmazingJ looking across Mouse, SKS looking at Flawless. They were both on IMA last split. And then you've got Road and Smlz playing against each other.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest fears when you go up against players that you know very well, either friends or former teammates. We saw it in the, of course, video/interview coming into this, is that if you know each other, like exactly what I would say BLG knows Flawless, then you're like, well, we know that how kind of his communications go, or at least his preferential style. And they already said it. They want to be able to attack him. To me, that's the right way to do things with how Rogue Warriors have been finding their victories in the early game.
Will BLG find an opportunity to do that? Looking at the composition and seeing how they've drafted for themselves with the likes of the Xayah, Rakan, the Jax, even the Vladimir in the top lane.
Yes, they have, just because it looks like a lot of their strengths come through, I would say, in the early game through mid lane.
Okay.
That's exactly what they would need, but just because Rogue Warriors have had a lot of success with Flawless playing through mid, I would like to see that being challenged. But that being said, that wrench has been thrown because, of course, Flawless now on Skarner is a completely different style than what he's been previously playing. Lee Sin, Jarvan, Kha'Zix, Nidalee, all of these carry junglers that he's been going towards, because the success that Rogue Warriors have had have been off of his early game snowballing. Of course, they have some great late game team fighting. The only problem they've had is in bridging towards that problem. And Flawless has been a great bridge. Now he's got to be able to farm.
Yeah, well, you can hear the fans. Or not. There they go. Bit of silence from one of the two sides. Not quite the same synergy that we should be expecting, but still, fans very happy to represent for their teams as we load onto the Rift here. Bilibili Gaming versus Rogue Warriors, and immediately BLG doing the exact same thing we saw when we started seeing Skarner yesterday, just prioritizing that top side of the map to make sure they're nice and safe, and Skarner, knowing that he's going to start bottom side, happy to control that bottom river and the blue buff shrine.
It's a bit interesting. I would say my favorite kind of style, or at least where the starting point for a Skarner, is on red buff. Just because you can start red buff, go to Raptors, immediately take your blue buff, and then control bottom side scuttle immediately. And then you can take your Wolf Camp and Gromp and end up level 4. So I like that path, and it leads you towards the bottom side of the map. But that's my preference. Of course, they want to be able to, he wants to find himself in the top side of the map. So I want to see specifically when he takes Scuttle Crab, because both Jax and Skarner starting bot side, going top side, getting the Scuttle Crab is incredibly important, especially for Flawless to find himself level 4 earlier on, since he wants to be out of the map a little bit later. He wants to control there, but he won't have that unnecessary like a gank pressure like Jax does.
We've already seen variations in the pathing that Skarner can take, even in yesterday's set with Karsa playing the champion, as there's a quick knock up, but of course Tahm Kench is happy to keep it safe. Just some harass onto Smlz for now, traded back against Road, and it looks like Flawless is going for a full clear so far on this bottom side. And BLG, they're trying to see what this Skarner is going to do. Is he going for the buff to buff red? And now they're going to spot him as he heads towards his own.
Yeah, because he's been doing this. Getting to the buff a little bit later. Great push in from Athena to be able to get this ward down. Makes it a lot easier for SKS to A, not only get the Scuttle Crab, which he's currently doing, but then find an early pressure towards mid lane. So already a great early game sense coming in from BLG.
Take a look at this. SKS with a quick ping, spotting out Flawless, immediately leaps onto him, stuns him, gets a good bop as Flawless answers back with a stun of his own, and Raptors are actually doing a lot of damage here. SKS, ooh, doesn't quite get the smite though.
Yeah, a few little ones. That's all that's really necessary. And SKS taking complete control of the top side, so Skarner's going to have a bit of a difficulty going back there now that SKS has a timer on his Raptors.
And this is exactly what we heard BLG were going to do. I mean, AmazingJ is pushing up top into Mouse. He could potentially collapse into the jungle. Athena is pushing up into mid. And SKS is tracking Flawless. So far, 3.5 minutes in, they're keeping true to their word of tracking down Flawless.
Yeah, it's really good to see them execute this style of play. Because really early on in the split, Rogue Warriors didn't start out too well. They started 2-2. A lot of the reasons for their loss is just because they couldn't really get it going in the early games. The early games were just atrocious. So now that they found that specific, I would say, crutch, right now BLG have recognized it and they're immediately attacking.
And just with that pressure alone, we're starting to see pretty even in the lanes. Doinb running Inspiration Sorcery, Magical Footwear, Biscuit Delivery, and that Celestial Insight, not to mention Ultimate Hat, which is so great on Karma because you just use your ultimate all the time.
Yep.
And Gathering Storm for late game insurance.
Yeah, just recognizing, of course, what composition he's going into. That's good. It could go for a little bit while. You even mentioned, of course, that Gathering Storm is kind of match for it.
Bit interesting to see that he will be trying to, or at least keep that late game insurance with the likes of that scaling. We know Doinb to have very creative build paths. He's showing the same thing here today. Frostfang first with a teleport to get himself back into lane, so he's going to be generating quite a bit of gold. As Flawless has actually managed to sneak in and find the Raptor camp of BLG, perhaps answering for the previous slights. And despite SKS giving him a good bop, he can't just quite get those jungle camps back.
Yeah, usually, ordinarily, you wouldn't be able to do that because of the 2v2 strength going in favor of SKS and Athena, but it was just good communication. Doinb called it out, knowing that Athena went back to base, so he had a small window of opportunity to be able to wrestle away this Raptor camp. So now, out of nowhere, Flawless finds himself in an experience advantage if he takes the Krugs, just because there's a Krugs difference between SKS and Flawless, which is a really good start coming out of him.
See if that's going to be the case as another trade happens in the bottom lane. Rogue very favorably just trading back against Jinjiao as they're going for one CS for another. But this is a Jinx for the first time in the LPL Raz. And I suspect we're not going to see too much unless another knockup manages to find Smlz, aside from the junglers and mid laners interacting. What are we expecting from Jinx? She's been missing for so long, and Smlz decides to break it out here, and now?
That's a strong hyper carry threat, and if you were to expect one person in the LPL to bring it out, it's going to be Smlz. Just because of course, the past, he's gone towards the Kog'Maws, gone towards Jinx as well, so the fact that now he gets a handle of it, especially right after the buff that Jinx gets for herself, it's a nice take. That being said, Mouse, under threat.
Yeah, SKS looking for the dive. He just ticks over to level 6. That's the Hemo Plague. AmazingJ takes aggro and immediately resets it. And just a brief bit of damage to Mouse, who manages to hold his own.
Yeah, they just wanted to have him blow his stopwatch. He blows his stopwatch, then it's much easier to come back to the lane the next time. But thankfully, Mouse pings 6 himself and is able to keep himself afloat.
Here you can see the stats for Athena in the mid lane. He has been stepping up in a huge way, the sleeping mid laner of BLG. He's quite woke in 2018, putting up some big numbers for himself.
It's been a really good meta for him, going towards these mages, these control mages like Azir, really just hammering that champion out right from the beginning. The team fights have been won largely because of his damage and AmazingJ's pressure. So now going on towards Cassiopeia, I mean, it's really natural for his style, and it's making him work.
Yeah, it's certainly fitting in this composition as well, seeing as how SKS is pretty freely invading that top side whenever he gets the inkling, though we're still seeing some great vision from Rogue Warriors on that bottom half of the map. A ward at Raptors just faded. There's another at Krugs, and they've still got control of the Scuttle Crab. So still, Rogue Warriors are conscientious of where SKS is going. Athena is happy to just push in and recall, get more and more sustain in that mid lane, and just try to prevent Flawless from making anything happen.
And here's the thing, the vision control is going to be more important now than it was before, just because Flawless did ping 6. And for both of these teams, they do find real control on the map early on, based off of mid control. So for Flawless, he would want to be able to get Doinb out of the lane, get proper control, and look for a 3v1 dive top lane, or for just outright bottom lane dive. And it's going to be easier once Smlz is along for the fight with the execution damage on his ulti.
Of course, he's level 6 as well, and Killua with that Abyssal Voyage can easily carry that Jinx around the map. We did see Doinb actually just return to base and swap over his sustain in lane, that heal summoner spell, for the likes of teleport. So, like you said, perhaps they could be looking for activating that Skarner, getting themselves onto the board in terms of kills at least. But still safe warding coming out of the bottom lane and the jungle.
Just keeps towards, I would say, a protective game state right now where she's keeping Athena in the laning phase, trying to poke, although right now Karma's behind in lane. But if there was any roam potential happening towards the bottom side of the map, he can come towards it with his teleport. Although Mouse's TP is down, he is there to help.
Flawless racing in. He's not been spotted. Immediately targets Road. Can he sidestep? Quickness and a quick leap to get him to safety. And the first impale is completely ineffective, but here's the collapse. SKS is there. Flash gets Flawless over the wall, and that's another summoner spell for BLG.
Yeah, good flash. Usually it's hard to find that gank in a Rakan Xayah lane if you're going straight towards the Rakan. But at the same time, if you go towards Xayah, she's going to blow her ulti, so you have to commit a little bit longer for the fight. That being said, I like the concept of this gank because Smlz laid out the trap. It's just unfortunate that he moved a little bit farther out of the trap so they couldn't utilize the combo.
And still Road just steps in. He knows he's got his flash and ignite as Flawless finds SKS looking a bit cheeky at that Ocean Dragon. And look at the damage that dragon is doing.
That's the thing about Ocean Dragon. It does damage, and it just chases you down because of the slow it actually constantly impales you with. So it's very hard to look for a solo onto it. SKS can do it just because he has a control ward, so worst case comes to worst, he can actually just jump over the wall with it. So now he has to watch out just because Flawless has an understanding of what he's trying to do.
Immediately a control ward placed right back down as Flawless tries to clear out this vision, but Scuttle Crab is going to keep the entrance to that pit nice and safe. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we just saw Road stepping forward without the quickness and still zoning Smlz back. He's having himself a great time just knocking up Smlz time and time again.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he has Ignite Flash, and we've seen a lot of Spellbook Rakans go towards the Exhaust Ignite just because they have that much more pressure in the 2v2. So right now, they're just kind of okay looking for a little bit of chip here and there, burning Killua's mana to basically save Smlz every single time that comes back up. It's working quite well for them, but at some point, you got to wonder when BLG is going to be utilizing their mid lane and bottom lane advantage for a little bit more of an aggressive play. Not the Dragon, but save for a dive.
Ooh, missed that one. But still, Smlz has got to play defensive, sit back and catch these minions. If he manages to get this whole wave, he will be up in CS. But still, neither of these bottom lanes have recalled for any items. Even the magical footwear coming in for Road, as this has been a very long laning phase that's just dragging on.
And Rogue Warriors are happy for that to be that long, just because their lanes scale up, and currently Doinb is getting pushed in by the Cassiopeia. So if you're in a position where all three of your lanes are getting pushed in, it's on to BLG to start the action first. You can already see a lot of pings going down and that Cassio is looking to roam. So Rogue Warriors are making good waves of being defensive, stopping them from looking for the dive. But the first step, honestly, is taking down the control wards. And SKS has already done a good job of doing just that right now in the bottom side river.
Just stepping in time and time again, making sure there is nowhere safe on this side of the map. That is a very forward control ward, and still Flawless can't feel safe because Athena is just pushing in wave after wave. The Catalyst tier giving so much sustain, not to mention that phase rush to chase down if he ever lands a Noxious Blast onto the likes of that Karma.
Yeah, that's why Doinb has to watch out for himself. Just because even though they know they're doing this, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, SKS gets chunked down. Meanwhile, blue buff was started by Flawless, but perhaps a lapse in the communication for Rogue Warriors because the bottom lane from BLG are here first. They're actually fighting over it. They turn and engage, blowing everything they have and getting first blood.
And that was just an assured win for BLG. It was strong control for them to look towards blue buff, but there was no reason for Flawless to be on top of it. Doinb could not join the fight just because if he had looked to try and aggress or press on towards that control ward or try and come the long way around, he loses the wave and he's going to join late. The short way around, he becomes the target. So good control from BLG overall. It's on Flawless to just give up the blue.
That's exactly the lapse in synergy, I think, that BLG were trying to take advantage of, that they mentioned as we opened the day today. Try to find an opening between Flawless and Doinb and then focus, use that opening on Flawless. Jesus, names are hard. And pick that apart for the first kill. They managed to take the blue buff. They managed to get that first blood. It's still only about 600 gold, but now we've seen the blueprint for the play. We've seen it work once. It's up to Rogue Warriors to prevent that from happening again.
Yeah, and what's difficult is going to be much harder preventing the next play, just because it's a snowball mechanic. You lose blue buff, Doinb won't have blue. Suddenly, both SKS and Athena has blue. The matchup was already difficult for Doinb because Athena was already pressing up into the lane, even though no blues were on the field. So, I mean, already that's difficult, and we haven't even talked about the top lane, which Mouse has been having a lot of troubles with.
Yeah, 25 CS advantage for AmazingJ, pushing into the turret. Mouse is forced to fall back. He's got Cannon Barrage ready, but he might just be giving up this first brick to AmazingJ, who single-handedly breaks it down with a bit of help from SKS a bit earlier.
Yeah, just 3 hits. Honestly, at that point, you'd rather not use your Cannon Barrage, especially since he recognizes, because of the bottom side play, that Flawless is not going to be going topside anytime soon. There's too much pressure towards the bottom lane, so it's effectively become an island in the top lane between AmazingJ and Mouse, and that's the result of that.
And now that top lane is wide open, AmazingJ, with that unsealed spellbook, happy to take that teleport, start moving around the map. Blue buff picked up by Athena. Looks like BLG might be gearing up for something in the next few minutes as Essence Reaver completed, Rod of Ages completed, Smlz answers with his Runans, and Doinb with his own Athene's unholy grail.
And here's a scary part of all of this, because yeah, you're right, the items are coming out, and SKS is already working on this Rift Herald. I need to see what Rogue Warriors are willing to do to kind of get themselves out of this hole. It needs to start with Flawless. He has Predator that he's had up for quite some time. Didn't even use it in the initial game because he didn't have the boots for it. This time he has the boots. He needs to look for a pick. It would have to be on either Athena or for SKS, but they need to be able to get the burst down so no other member of BLG can come in and help as well, because currently they're getting pushed in every single lane. They're losing every objective currently. Blue buff, Dragons, Rift Herald at some point.
It's only a matter of time, especially with that Jax and Vladimir unlocked to work on it. And still we're seeing BLG pressure into this topside jungle time and again.
Yeah, because they have no control of that topside anymore. As long as Vladimir stays top lane, bullies the GP. Get out of there.
Even the full Triforce barrel barely tickles AmazingJ.
That's the thing. As long as you can bully him out of there, there's no way Rogue Warriors can look for this.
Now Athena zoning Flawless and Mouse. Smite is ready. He's going to secure the Rift Herald, but they decide to target Athena instead. He's got Flash and Heal, backs it up, but a barrel and the Cannon Barrage prevents an immediate escape. Rocket narrowly misses as AmazingJ joins the fight. 1v3, Protobelt's in, but he's got no one there to help him. Road is racing forward. That's the Abyssal Voyage, but the quickness finds the backline. 5 members. He turns it around for another. Jinjiao gets in. Now he's going to start firing across as AmazingJ has somehow bought enough time. The damage is so close, but they can't find anyone just yet. Still no kills as Jinjiao steps forward, has got to back away. Finally, he gets Mouse, but the turnaround from Road, saved by Killua. AmazingJ healed, and a splash from Killua over the wall. Jinjiao steps forward to chase it down. AmazingJ finally locks it down. 2 kills for BLG in a 15-minute 5v5.
Gets bad to worse for Rogue Warriors, because that was a good start to the fight. They had the numbers advantage, but they couldn't get the kill fast enough.
Still riding their momentum. BLG step forward. AmazingJ taking a few turret shots, but that buys enough time for BLG to break down this mid-tier 1 turret, and the map has just become a whole lot more threatening for Rogue Warriors.
That was still a really good attempt. We needed Rogue Warriors to see a play at some point. They just didn't want to bleed out for so long. Had Rift Herald been taken away for free, then you already know what the blueprint would have been. The target was Athena. The big question is, were they going to be able to kill Athena immediately? Was able to get the flash out of there. Great miasma to stop Rogue Warriors to come in as well. And while AmazingJ buys for time, look towards the mid lane because the squad's coming in. And you have Jinjiao at the flank with Road just essentially doing damage. You would think, well, why doesn't Rogue Warriors just turn on the AD carry? Jinjiao has ulti. He has a way to disengage from the fight. So it's just within Rogue Warriors' best interest to get the hell out of there.
They certainly try. I just realized that Road managed to get 4 people with the likes of that quickness. The extended engage forcing Killua away on the back side. And though Rogue Warriors decide to split and quit, try to escape, Jinjiao is just landing snare after snare.
It just shows how strong of a communication the team has for BLG. Because ordinarily, every other team would just walk away. If they have an option to leave the fight, they'll leave the fight and say, well, we got Rift Herald for free then. But they saw an opportunity to stick around and have the team commit to the fight, and they were able to get it. Thankfully to AmazingJ, who's just in front of 4 people, eating as much time as possible.
And look at this relentless push from BLG. On the backside of it, they swarm to the bottom lane, drop the Rift Herald. They're grouped as 4 to break the final Tier 1 turret as Mountain Dragon is spawning. This is the mid-game decisiveness we wanted to see from the new BLG.
Yeah, but look at the pings coming through. AmazingJ is going to get to this play first. Rogue Warriors don't want any bit of this.
Forcing the flash away. AmazingJ on the side. He's impaled. Cannon barrage, but he's able to heal himself up. They don't have any healing reduction. He finally drops down. Road might be left, but makes it over the wall alive. The turret has been broken in the meanwhile, and BLG take what they came for and leave.
You're starting to realize how hard of a life it is for Flawless, because if he tries to impale AmazingJ, and if they don't have the damage to be able to deal with him, he just pulls out of there. So there's so much escape from the side of BLG, you're only really looking for Athena, but Athena just has the ability to flash out.
And BLG have no patience. Flash from AmazingJ kills Doinb. Killua on the side is forced to back away, running for the blast cone, and he barely makes it over the wall in time, but AmazingJ still forcing Rogue Warriors back as they set their eyes on the Mountain Dragon.
Yeah, they're getting desperate. They're looking at their composition's win condition, and it feels way too far off. Usually it's Flawless at this point in the game, 19 minutes in, that's creating the pressure for the team. But this time around, of course, you're on the Skarner naturally. So once you get to the 6-point mark, you're like, all right, maybe now I have the ability to look for lane ganks, rather than just brute forcingly looking towards a jungle trade, a 1v1. That's what Flawless is used to this split. That's completely different this time around.
BLG, they're not playing fair. They're not bringing one guy. They're bringing the whole squad when they try to take these skirmishes. Top lane, Vladimir. Mid lane, Cassiopeia. Flawless just wants a good old-fashioned friendly duel, and BLG are not taking the bait.
Yeah. What's fun about a lot of the BLG's game, just off that point, right? Once it gets to the 15-minute marks, 16 minutes, when the first towers start going down, they don't have any interest of staying into side lanes. They just start grouping as a team, or at least if they find the first excuse to do so, even if they have a Camille on side lanes, they'll find that reason, they'll send AmazingJ towards the lane. So BLG, a lot of the times you just have the expectation, they'll start grouping up extremely early on. Funny enough, that's why both teams are talking about late game scaling versus late game scaling, because Rogue Warriors have made a name for doing the exact same thing. It hasn't even gotten to that point because BLG got so far ahead just based off the laning phase alone.
Yeah, very strong laning phase against the likes of Rogue Warriors. And with this momentum, we could be seeing AmazingJ on a bit of a stealth mission, just stealing away everything he could. He pushed in bottom, no teleport, so he's staying close to that mid lane just in case anything were to break out. He could just ghost and sprint over there, whereas Mouse still sitting on his teleport and, of course, that cannon barrage. Down about 20 CS as a brief side lane gift from AmazingJ to try to get himself back into the game.
Yeah, he's Klepto, so think about, of course, Klepto with Ancient Coin is that you probably still have a gold advantage if you're Mouse.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big question. I'd love to just toggle over the gold and see what he has underneath him, because he's been able to farm up himself quite well. He has the Trinity Force. Even went towards, I would say he's eventually going to build a Maw. Malmortius has the Hex Drinker currently. So as soon as he gets his first few crit items, he's going to be great.
Look at this, BLG playing the vision game around Baron. Smlz stepping very far forward, and Road immediately smells blood in the water. That's the ghost. But Flawless is there outside of the vision. He's going to get the impale. Cannon barrage in. Road has got nowhere to retreat to. He backs up, flashes, and makes it out alive as BLG try to escape. A stun over the wall. Catches Doinb, but Killua with the save. SKS, 3-man stun, and he's trying to follow it up as Mouse has joined the fight. There's the lack of teleport from AmazingJ trying to group up with his team, but he's only just now arriving on the backside. Still, Rogue Warriors dissuade this attempt from BLG.
This is getting frustrating for Rogue Warriors. Every single time they find an opportunity, a low health member, they have no way to get on top of them because there's way too many disengage options from BLG. They're one auto away from Road. Now they're doing Baron.
This is a very aggressive Baron. AmazingJ is running linebacker. Flawless has flash over the wall, but Baron is already dead. He flashes to be saved by Killua, but AmazingJ is on the chase, scares him back. Here's Doinb getting his team in, and this might just be the first death for BLG in the game as AmazingJ falls, but absolutely a worth trade as BLG take that Baron.
Yeah, finally their over-aggression kind of nets a kill in favor of Rogue Warriors, but they have the Baron buff. One fight, and they really are still confident with how low their HP bars were, that Rogue Warriors still couldn't take a real fight against them. They were confident that their control wards or their ward around Baron and in the river area in general was strong enough they didn't see them. And thankfully, AmazingJ had bought enough time because he was just full up HP the entire time. Wasn't a part of that fight to begin with. Was initially looking for a flank, couldn't find it. So he was like, all right, I'll just play linebacker. I've got you guys, just take Baron. Good call from him.
And the good save is now 23 minutes in. BLG with the Baron buff. AmazingJ still sitting on that Ghost, so not quite able to play the side lane, but he is heading towards the bottom side. And already the wave is prepped up top by Jinjiao and Road. The question is, now that they're taking all their buffs, clearing out their jungle, and clearing out the vision of Rogue Warriors, what is going to be the first target for them? Because you already mentioned their propensity to group up as 5. Or will they try to stick with this 1-4 split here?
1-4 works very well for them. GP won't be able to handle the Vladimir inside. So what should just happen, it's currently happening, is that once he pushes up bottom side till someone has to answer that bottom lane turret, he's going to already be towards the mid lane looking for a possible dive. It's been a playbook that's been used constantly, especially for BLG. There's no different here.
Yeah, already shoving aggressively in the mid lane as SKS, like you said, setting up those wards to create a quick walking path for BLG, whereas Rogue Warriors have to take the long way around. Minions crash in, and they're already getting some damage on the turret as Doinb tries to clear the wave out as best he can, but both waves are crashing at the same time, and there is nothing Rogue Warriors can do.
Wow, just because GP's on the top side of the map looking to work on the outer turret, they found an opportunity to work on 2 turrets at the same time.
Some big damage onto the minion wave as BLG still pushing forward onto the inhibitor.
And what hurts here is the main engage point, the only engage point for Rogue Warriors, is the Skarner, and he doesn't have flash. If he looks to use Predators, there's no real way for him to be able to catch anybody on BLG. So he actually just has to wait for flash, or wait for them to look to actually dive the turret for him to be able to do anything.
BLG still play it patient, though. They take their 2 tier 2s and decide to leave, but Infernal's up in 30 seconds, and we did just see some deep warding out of Rogue Warriors, and it's immediately cleared.
So ultimately, I want to look towards Rogue Warriors just because I want to see what they can actually do to get themselves back into the game. I'm impressed with Smlz right now. Yes, 265 CS, perfect CS at this point in time. And so ultimately, he has 3 items for himself, especially since Jinjiao is the one who actually went towards his build and got the QSS. So once he's able to scale up quite well, if there's one mistake from BLG, he starts snowballing.
Ooh, we can see the Predator activated by Rogue Warriors. Still no sign of AmazingJ, but he did use that Ghost to try to get there faster. Infernal Dragon is the target. Oh, catches him mid-quickness. Flawless goes in, but Road is already dead. And now this is BLG trying to turn in the engages, and AJ runs straight into Rogue Warriors, who happily kite it back. The Interflame Soul Flare from Doinb allows them to reset their position, but the jungler of Rogue Warriors is dead, and the Dragon was taken by BLG.
70% crit, a hell of a lot.
Yeah, Zap going to land onto Athena. You can see Smlz kiting it out. He's saved by Killua, who's going to almost die, but a quick save from Doinb keeps him up. AmazingJ has to step on the trap. That's a good Zanyas as the rocket passes through, but AJ finally falls. 26.5 minutes in, and Rogue Warriors find the fight they're looking for. Mouse flashes to help speed up Smlz, his 1,000th assist in the LPL.
And that's all you really need, of course. Smlz is starting to snowball. That was the biggest worry for me. Smlz was still farming up while they were still incredibly behind.
Jinjiao trying to save the mid-tier 1. Road is back up, but he managed to get 1, 2, 3 with the quick charm. Not enough to keep them off of the turret, though. Still enough.
Right now, at this point in time, BLG is starting to recognize that finding a fight onto Rogue Warriors without a proper flank is getting incredibly difficult. It's almost impossible. If you try to dive into the back line, they had 1 moment to get on top of Smlz. Killua immediately saved him, of course, being the Tahm Kench that he is. Otherwise, you have the ulti from Mouse that's going to be able to slow you down and allows Smlz to just back away and kite back. He's doing a lot of damage right now, so how long he can kite back? Quite a bit of time. There's no real true tank on the side of BLG, so he's finding a great time to be able to take autos onto Rogue or Jinjiao. And in that fight, SKS, because the moment SKS was at 30% HP, suddenly there's no way for BLG to even dive to the back line. So right now they got to be able to think about who's going to start building tank. Has to be SKS. And who's going to be able to take flank? It has to be AmazingJ.
Can't just waltz right into the Rogue Warriors team composition. They have been so comfortable with these late game team fights. A lot of these veteran players are very familiar with that late game position, but of course you would have to imagine if any team is familiar with late game, it's also got to be BLG, the miracle makers, and how they try to pulse the rabbit out of the hat so many times. Still, Rogue Warriors playing the side lanes, utilizing that teleport for a mouse, whereas AmazingJ is still holding on to his ghost to break down yet another turret.
Here's the thing that I just saw in the items. We're talking about all the weird item builds that Doinb is going for himself. He's built up Zeke's Harbinger.
He has.
So that's interesting. He's definitely tied that to Smlz. He's going to be their major carry. Every single time his ulti is used, and he's using his ulti quite a bit because he's Karma, then we're seeing opportunities where Smlz is doing 50% bonus magic damage, of course, off of his autos. The burn that's coming through. There's not only the slow feel that comes off of it in these team fights, we're going to be able to catch it out in the next team fight. That's going to be lovely to watch. And of course, the burn damage he's able to apply. So Smlz is their main damage point. It's kind of talked about the confidence they've had towards Smlz, and it's looked like it's going to be showing in the later portions of this game.
Yeah, 2-0-2, despite being constantly harassed in the laning phase, like you said, still nearly perfect CS, as he has now finally also finished off his grievous wounds as well. So putting a bit of a damper on things for AmazingJ. Mouse also finishing off his Maw of Malmortius and Infinity Edge. So Rogue Warriors, suddenly that Gathering Storm, looks like the storm clouds are hanging right over BLG, and lightning is about to strike as Rogue Warriors rush down the mid lane and take that tier 1 turret.
It's getting harder for BLG to respond to this composition with how big of an early game lead they had.
AmazingJ is behind them, but he's completely separated. Drops himself into the pool, but he's snared. The zap, but he can't heal himself up. A good stall to get him away from some of this damage, but Smlz will not be stopped. Road goes in and gets the knockup, but there's no one to follow him, and that will be Smlz getting a kill.
And they're so close to Baron now. The rest of BLG would love to contest this, but the last fight turned out so poorly. I don't know about this one.
Rogue Warriors turning on to the Baron. Their support and their primary engage is dead. Smlz over the wall. He's got himself smite, but look at how fast Rogue Warriors are turning around off the back of Doinb.
That's Athena's miasma being used. If that window's now up, Rogue Warriors can look for an engage, knowing that he has no way to protect himself.
A big hit lands onto SKS on the backside. One Ocean isn't going to give enough sustain. There's the miasma right on top of the shielding from Doinb as they race forward. Like you said, that slow field ready, not to mention the significant extra burn for Smlz. But again, BLG, despite being a man down, they're still chasing forward and pushing Rogue Warriors all the way back.
Yeah, because the main form of pressure right now is going to be Smlz's auto attacks and the flash ulti coming out of Flawless. And Flawless is not finding that opportunity because he's just at half HP. But if he bases, his problem is that BLG are just going to start Baron.
And now the tables have turned. Doinb, and along with the rest of Rogue Warriors, trying to defend the teleport from behind. Cannon Barrage is not yet ready for Mouse, but Baron has been taken. It turns into a fight. The all-out brawl. Flawless goes down. SKS in the back of the pit. Jinjiao has flash. He takes to the skies and leaps over the wall. But a rocket from Smlz as he cleans up a double, looking to make it a triple. 1, 2, 3. A triple kill for Smlz.
That's just one member of BLG who's able to get Baron for themselves. Athena still has Baron, but what does that mean? Absolutely nothing. They've just gotten wiped just because of that.
4 members of BLG dead. Infernal Dragon is up in 30 seconds, but of course Rogue Warriors going to look to take that after they've taken the better prize, that mid-tier 2 and perhaps even an inhibitor, because Mouse has got no chill. He is racing down to bully Athena away, and though a valiant effort is put up, the mid-tier 2 falls. Smlz steps himself forward, decides not to go for it though, as the tier 2 is falling, and with another Abyssal Voyage, Rogue Warriors take themselves the Infernal Dragon. BLG make their way back onto the map.
Yeah, BLG did a lot of good jobs earlier on in this game to get themselves the Dragon control, so this is going to be the first Dragon that goes over to Rogue Warriors, but it's the most impactful one, and that's what's worrying. Smlz was doing enough damage as is, so this was a great call from BLG. They just didn't have an exit strategy. Getting the smite on towards the Baron and taking down Skarner seems like a great thing, but with how low the rest of the members were in BLG, and they were just facing the opposite side of the map, Smlz smells blood, tastes blood. He's able to net himself the triple kill.
And you have to imagine, in that moment, 3 people over the wall. He's a Jinx, and he flashes, but Flawless, where on earth are you going? He is racing as fast as he can. That's also going to be the Righteous Glory, but they managed to burst him down. BLG find a pick on their former teammate, and still using that Baron on Athena to bring a minion wave all the way to the inhibitor turret. SKS now has to back away from Smlz as BLG group themselves back up.
Smlz's better watch out for his placement right now. Currently, he's in the front line, taking a lot of deeps.
Yeah, look at the damage being traded back and forth. Killua says, sit down, man. We don't want to trade this right now. The rocket nearly killing AmazingJ, but he ducks under in time, and the turret is still standing. Rogue Warriors hanging on by a hair.
Just has way too much pressure. And you know, Smlz, we got to see a little bit of his damage per minute in our, of course, Man of the Week kind of graph that we saw earlier on. He does a lot of damage.
Certainly
in
does.
a lot of these team fights. He presses up when he sees the opportunity to do so. And a lot of his pentakills last year was him essentially walking up, kind of face tanking just because he recognizes that he's not going to die and he has enough damage to take the rest of the team out. So this is the same position that he's currently in, already going towards his 3rd Zeal item. It's a Phantom Dancer. The man's crazy.
I mean, it's certainly working for them. 6, 0, and 3, 100% kill participation. I mean, we say Rogue Warriors like to play around Smlz, but I think that's an understatement. In this game, they're pretty much only playing around Smlz when they have the lengths of a Gangplank and a Skarner, though Jinjiao steps forward, clears out the barrel. Quick Abyssal Voyage just to bring Smlz over and further push BLG back and keep them safe.
Speaking of course, the secondary carries that you're talking about on the side of Rogue Warriors, GP, of course, we already talked about the fact that he has the Infinity Edge, but having the Spirit Visage is interesting, gives him himself added, of course, healing off of his W. That's interesting. And he's able to walk up to Athena a little bit more freely, give space to Smlz in these team fights. So that's nice.
With that extra room, Smlz can put out that much more damage. But with the presence that Rogue Warriors have on the map, this dangerous yo-yoing push and pull between the two teams, it's only 1,700 gold difference between them as Road has got to back away, bringing that rocket very far away from his teammates, just in case it would be a big crit onto Athena. Still, lots of vision on this side of the map. No teleport ready for Mouse, so there's not going to be any side flanks, but he's got his Cannon Barrage ready. One mistake from BLG and Smlz is ready to pounce on it.
Yeah, especially since a lot of the focus is going to be on Jinjiao to deal the damage. Of course, double AP, the inherent risk along that is that if you just build the magic resist, you're fine. 3 magic resist items on Mouse. And of course, the Locket of the Iron Solari on Killua. The burst that we're expecting to see off of BLG is no longer a factor. And the flank coming from Vladimir, not impactful.
They're looking for a pick. Road is on the side. That's the Cannon Barrage. He ghosts. He's looking to catch them all grouped up, but cannot find it. Smlz at 6 items, 36 minutes in. That final buy was a static shiv, so he clears minions like nobody's business. And now Rogue Warriors are starting to find their momentum, playing around these power spikes, specifically those of Smlz, and when he feels confident, it's keeping them in this game.
Yeah, and I would say based off of that, of course we're not going to see the replay of it, but the disengage and that opportunity was really strong coming out of Rogue Warriors. Seeing Road come along and seeing those 4 people group up, clump up in Rogue Warriors, they immediately just moved away from each other. Suddenly there's no opportunity for Road to find that 4-man, 3-man engage. And so currently BLG are looking for that play, that standout play that allows AmazingJ to immediately get on top of Smlz, but that's being denied.
Road with some excellent engages earlier in the game is just looking for one more. Death timers are big enough. If he can put a dent in the armor of Smlz, if he can bring down that carry, that would provide the opening that BLG need, but Baron is up in 70 seconds. Elder Dragon is up 7 seconds afterwards. Rogue Warriors will no longer be able to yo-yo back and forth across the map if BLG will have the luxury of playing 2 objectives at the same time.
Yeah, and I would say that immediately BLG were at the right side of the map at the right time, just because we saw them clear out. Look at the vision control towards Baron currently. Rogue Warriors are just not playing towards that at all. Looking towards the bottom side wave, they've changed the objective not to be towards the vision control on the top side of the map, but towards the tower on the bot side of the map.
Oh, Athena steps forward, but uses the red to body block. Flawless on the side has found him. Looks for the impale, manages to get the stun, but Road is ready for the counter engage. This is a very tight corridor. Look at the AoE from Smlz. He's in the front, but Killua holds onto the Devourer. AmazingJ flashes into 5, drops down, and Smlz retreats. Road tries to catch up, but doesn't have the speed. SKS follows through to finish the work, but still Smlz is firing shot after shot. He trades 1 for 1. AmazingJ trying to get himself back in, but the rocket does not execute. He's still getting more, and look at the healing he is getting. Smlz cleaning up the fight with Doinb.
It looked like such a good fight coming out of BLG, and an amazing flash from AmazingJ to get onto 4 to 5 people. But Smlz was kiting out perfectly, and Killua at a clutch moment gets the swallow onto his carry. Smlz was safe from that entire ulti position, and so he comes out cleanly and he gets the kills for himself.
And this is the teleport from Mouse to race back in with his team. It's all up to AmazingJ, but against a 6-item Jinx and 3 other members, there's only so much that he can do to try to stall this game out. As I mentioned, with death timers being what they were, Rogue Warriors just play for the late game and execute flawless.
Well, that was fun to see. The fact that BLG showcased the strategy coming into the set, that they were so focused on putting Flawless down, having control of mid lane, and it was working so well, they almost forgot about Smlz on the bottom side of the map having so much control, not able to just provide the early pressure to take him down. We're almost fine just taking the blue buff, the dragon, Rift Herald. It was going to get there eventually, but it apparently just took way too long.
And Rogue Warriors placing their faith appropriately in their AD carry, Smlz. You can see AmazingJ looking perhaps a bit flabbergasted after that game 1, not quite expecting the results that they were, especially considering the early game. Like you said, BLG, they came in with a set plan. Everybody knew it. They wanted to focus their old teammate, use that division between Doinb and Flawless to open up the map. They got all the way to the inhib line, but they just could not crack the base, and that's where Smlz turned the map around.
Yep, 4.2k. I mean, their initial plan worked out. Flawless didn't have much of an impact this game until later on when he was trying to play distraction, but it was distraction for the composition that already turned online. Smlz output so much damage, had so much protection because of the Karma and Tahm Kench. There is no way for the tankless lineup of BLG to be able to get onto him.
Certainly not. And with the results of that, 47,000 damage for Smlz, 6 items. Huge wave clear. The Static Shiv 6th item to finish things off after having the rune heads, after having the rockets. Even against the Baron minions, you have to consider the bonus damage that he was doing. Even if they found themselves further in the rut, he could just turn around and focus the minions.
Yeah, so at that point in the game, when he was able to essentially 1v4, he was already just walking up every single time. Skarner had already perished from getting caught on the bot side of the map, or of course that Baron issue. He had enough time to just output the damage on AmazingJ. AmazingJ was oftentimes inside the team fight, outputting what he thought was a lot of damage, but was exhausted time and time again. The locket timing was proper coming out of Killua, so there's no way for him to actually output the damage when he finally flanked.
Yeah, especially when you look at Doinb taking the likes of that Athena's Unholy Grail plus the massive shields and healing that he was doing. Every time Smlz took a hit, he just popped himself right back up to full health. I think it was at like 300 health at the end of that fight. He turned around, autoed 2 people, and just healed right back up to full.
Yeah, so that was incredibly powerful coming out of Rogue Warriors.
Yeah.
And it seems like we might see some Karma bans already. I mean, remember with Jingdong, when Doinb was on that lineup.
That was the classic.
It was ban Karma every game. You don't want to never see him on the champion. Now that he has Smlz who he can protect, then yeah, it seems like it's a security.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, now it's up to Rusty and Fish to break down that game 1.
And that we'll do, starting straight away from Champions League, because these two teams have very different drafts. Rogue Warriors fitting their style quite well, protect Smlz as much as they possibly can, as well as Bilibili Gaming going for those mid-game team fights.
Yeah, so Bilibili Gaming's composition, the Vladimir you saw from AmazingJ, you know, the mid-game team fights, a lot of it was there for them when they were grouped, and the thing that I didn't like, but also was very good for them early, which is why they were successful, was the fact that they had the Rakan Xayah combo. Now, I liked the 2v2, I liked that 2v2 lane, I just didn't think that having the Jax with the rest of the composition really seamlessly fit it all together. I think the Jax was the problem, and Road had to do more work than you'd ever expect of a single support to be able to carry that game across, and that's my concern with the whole composition that BLG had. However, in the early game, it did work wonders for them. On the opposite side with Rogue Warriors, you mentioned it, they have one strategy, they use that strategy, they build for the strategy. Smlz is going to pick a carry, and I even predicted it, Fish.
You did
even called the Jinx before it was locked in, and they were able to use that to great effect.
Doinb said it so many times that there's a lot of faith in Smlz in the bottom lane, trusts his AD carry, and trusts that they can build a team composition around him to protect him. He's one of the only mid laners who is picking up these supportive base champions like the Karma, like the Lulu, to protect Smlz all the time.
And we speak towards the finished composition, so let's talk a bit more specifically here as well about Smlz and Rogue Warriors. I have a feeling that the reason Jinx is such a good pick there, opposed to something like the Varus with the Cogmore band, is that he does physical damage exclusively, and Skarner forces QSSs to be purchased across most of the carries and most of the members there. Now, Jinx, 380 items, 2 of them are actually going to be Zeal items, isn't a crazy amount of AD that you're purchasing for yourself. You're getting damage from the Zeeks in the mid lane, you're getting damage from the attack speed bonus that Akama is giving you, as well as lifesteal from your runes and from the itemization of mid. So he's lacking a little bit in raw AD stats, but that's compensated for by rockets, by having all of these items choices available, and the fact that Skarner forces you to build magic resistance before you ever go towards armor, and there wasn't really a true tank on the opposing side. So the composition with the Jinx around it, I actually really liked it. I thought it was a genius pick.
They also locked in the Tahm, Kench as well as Skarner during that first rotation, guaranteeing that protection from the support, guaranteeing the peel from the Skarner, and denying the opposition to take it to try and lock down Jinx herself. But we can take a look at one of these replays how Bilibili game were able to start out the game, because there were a couple of fights that were going in their favor, and they got the lead, and it really looked like Rogue Warriors didn't have ways to get back into the game.
And this is Road basically doing most of the work here. You'll see him come in for an engage very shortly. AmazingJ does buy an awful lot of time with the Vladimir, plays it out decently to keep himself healthy, but Road's the true MVP because he is a necessary feature for BLG to succeed at all. He hits every single member of Rogue Warriors with the charm and then runs around and tries to kite out the rest of the fight. Now, it was still a close fight, and that was super early on into the game. Jinjiao comes up clutch at the end, able to get a couple of kills, flashing aggressively, of course, and being able to use those feathers to find Mouse. So they do well here, BLG. This is the first inkling of a positive for them. I was super happy to see that they're able to play aggressively, and they are the ones actually calling the shots through most of this game.
Certainly were. They were the ones that were in control. However, the team composition for Rogue Warriors came online, and it was way too strong to be dealt with. The last team fight is a perfect example of that. Smlz, it looked like there were so many instances during that team fight where he was going to fall, but he just did not.
There's just too many shields. It actually starts off with him being caught. The Cassiopeia ultimate locks him down. He looks like he's going to die, and AmazingJ is absolutely flashing this wall. There's no chance that he's not going to. And then the shield goes to full health. It fills him to full health. Now he's back to 0 again, and back to full health. It's actually kind of ridiculous how many times BLG would have seen this beacon above his head saying, the Jinx is low, wait, he's not low, he's actually, I don't know what he is anymore. And by that time, the resets are there, they're just all dead.
Yep, it's just reset time. It's the Smlz show, and he's the man that picks up MVP for the first game of this best of 3 series. No emotions from him once again, but still, this guy is unstoppable when he gets these hyper carries, and his team plays around him so well.
And if he continues to perform this well, and Rogue Warriors continue to trust him in that he's going to continue to perform this well, then it does feel like Rogue Warriors are a side to be feared, and they are a very good 5v5 roster, because honestly, they have diversity, but they don't need to pick diversity at all. They can just keep going with the one strategy that's proven to be successful for them, and then just have the threat of changing it up on a whim.
Yep, they don't have to fix anything if it's not broken anymore, and this top composition is definitely not broken for Rogue Warriors, whereas Bilibili Gaming, they tried what they are used to. They tried their true and tested team composition, but it didn't work out against what Rogue Warriors threw at them.
The Skarner was locked in early, the Zac was banned away, the Sejuani wasn't really an option for them, though I think it should have been. And coming into the second game, that's the place that I would be looking. They shouldn't put the Jax in there. They should actually change that up if that's what the team composition is going to be for them, the engaging comp.
And we're going to get into game number 2 shortly. For now, though, we're going to go to a quick break. We're back in just a bit.